Hey, what's up, guys? Me and Mir are back here to do our Seth review of the character. Seth's been out for a couple of weeks now and could very well be the very last character to be in Street Fighter V. So a lot of expectations on this
Mm-hmm.
character, a lot of interesting things too about Seth's complete rework here, and also borrowing a lot of moves from the cast as well. So a lot of depth. And yeah, basically the honeymoon phase is over on this character. Like, what are your
Yeah.
thoughts so far, Mir?
Well, I mean, I haven't been playing the character as much as I've been playing against the character, so I can see like what the character struggles with the most. I would say, right? Like the weaknesses when you that you have to exploit when you're playing against Seth. But
Yeah.
I will say the character seems pretty solid. To be honest, the
Yeah.
character seems pretty good. Yeah,
Right.
very positive impression so far.
I know I've said this a million times. Every time a new character comes out, I always say, they're always underpowered, or basically the character comes out and the character's like, oh, this character seems really strong. And then day two is like, oh, it's got some weaknesses. Day three is
Mm-hmm.
this character has potential. And then day four, no one uses that character again. It's like always going through that cycle. But I think Capcom did a really good job with both Gil and Seth. But Seth
Mm-hmm.
does seem like the stronger character so far. Um, and like I said, I always thought the character was strong. That's what I've always been asked on the stream. That's what I always say. But I didn't think the character was like super strong, like some of the pro players are saying. Like it's been a while since a character has came out and has been so strong that people are like, oh, this character needs to be used in tournaments. That kind of hype. I think the last
Mm-hmm.
character is probably G, but it's pretty rare, honestly. Even
Yeah.
characters like Manat or Akuma need some time to be explored first before
Mm-hmm.
they'll be put into the tournament here.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I mean, I would say that Seth is like it's quite apparent that the character has a really big toolkit, right? And you
Yeah.
can exploit that as a pro player
Hmm.
in a tournament setting because you just have so many tools to deal with so many different situations. So it's also an all-rounder pick in the sense that you can deal with many matchups at the same time, right? It's not just a niche pick that you would use for that one specific matchup. So that could be a reason as well.
Yeah, it's true too. Those kind of characters are always really strong in Street Fighter. Another thing too, like just to quote basically Daigo, he was basically saying that like he thinks Seth is so strong, he thinks Seth's stronger than Guile, even stronger than Kage. Like that's how much they're hyping this character, and he says other pro players agree with him that he's that strong. He's like, Seth's so strong, he's almost considered meaning Seth, which is
Mm-hmm.
pretty nuts. Like I said, they must really think Seth is strong. If they're thinking it's stronger than Guile and Kage, then they must think Seth is probably like top five,
Well,
top
yeah.
10
If we
ish.
if we look if we look at the Topanga tier list, for example, I believe they put Guile at the top of A tier, which is just below the S tier, right? So if Seth's stronger than Guile, then it would automatically mean S tier,
Is
according
that
at
the
least to
same?
the Topanga
Is
people,
that the
right?
whack list that has Ibuki at C tier? Is
Yes,
that the same
it
one?
is
Oh, it
that
is.
list.
See, I
It
don't
is
know. It's
that
hard to
list.
take that seriously. Mm.
It is hard, but like by if we use that as a reference
Yeah.
as to what Daigo's saying, then yeah, what you're saying is true. Basically, Seth would be top
Right.
five or top six.
And Daigo's been practicing against Sako, who's been using Seth lately, and Daigo's
Mm-hmm.
been trying to use, going against Sako with his Guile to kind of see how the matchup is, and he does think like, Seth's really strong because of that.
Yeah.
With that being said, though, Amir, like even if Seth is as if let's say all these pros are right that Seth is really this
Mm-hmm.
strong, like it doesn't necessarily mean that like a lot of people should jump on the wagon and play Seth because there's a lot of characters that people have been using since day one, 4 years ago, that are still strong to this day, like Rashid. And there's no
Mm-hmm.
real reason to jump on and learn a different character, especially when it might be the last year of Street Fighter V pro scene. Why would you take that
There's,
risk?
I guess, there's one thing that is important to mention here is that Seth has a quite favorable matchup against some grapplers that use armor a lot, namely Abigail.
Mm-hmm.
And Abigail is a big problem right now. I mean,
Oh yeah.
arguably,
Oh yeah.
arguably a big problem. So like the Disco one that on the engine neutralizes armor.
Yeah.
So that could be a big deal because if Seth is kind of like the gatekeeper that is able to keep Abigail out of top eights,
Mm-hmm.
that'd be a really important and good reason to pick up the character.
Mm-hmm.
Even though Seth is a complicated character, and I can't see everyone doing super well with Seth,
Mm-hmm.
it could be a pocket character that might be worth investing into, especially if Abigail is actually the kind of threat we think he's gonna be.
Well, Daigo said that if Seth had a projectile, then Seth would be the strongest character in the game. Like, no doubt.
I could
Most
believe
powerful
it.
character in the game.
I
Which is
could
pretty
believe
nice. That'd
it.
be really bad for Abigail if Seth had a projectile.
Hmm.
So, um, I want to talk about like what we think is weak about Seth, just so we
Yeah.
can talk about some of the normals and stuff. So first, when I was like first playing Seth, I was like, this character kind of has troubles in neutral. You know, like Seth has got a lot of good buttons and a lot of good far range normals. The problem is all these buttons are minus. Like Seth has a
Hmm.
lot of things that are -2, for example, on the
Yeah.
character. And Seth's not really a character that kind of like it's like catting where Seth constantly moves forward and it's like plus, 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 and pressures you that way. It's not really how Seth is supposed to be played, right? So Seth can really bully you with his throws and the axe kick and all that. But I think if you don't know about those things, about the layers of the mix up between the plus core circle back heavy kick, the instant air axe kicks, or the mad throw range that Seth has, then you could probably
Mhm.
see Seth having a weak neutral, especially when you're trying to go and convert into V trigger if you don't understand the long range conversions. That was my initial impression of Seth's neutral, in general, from what he
Well,
does.
I would also say that Seth. One thing that helps Seth in neutral quite a bit is the fact that you have you have a 16 frame dash, so that's great
Yeah,
because of course, even though it doesn't like go super far, it's still a good tool to have. And
yeah,
then you have decent movement speed, especially forwards.
yeah.
Backwards is not too impressive.
No,
The forward movement speed helps a lot. And then since you have buttons that you can convert from, like crouching medium kick, in case someone's walking backwards, and like you said, the threat of the throw is quite notable just because the throw range is so impressive.
right,
That helps him get in, but then you have to deal with a lot of other things like fireballs, and you kind of have to take some risks to deal with those because you have to use the spin kicks or jump over
right.
them, with the axe kicks. So there are pros and cons to this neutral for sure,
Right.
but
Like you said, Seth's not a really
Mhm.
straightforward character. You do have to understand
Yeah.
all the tools to really utilize what makes Seth strong. And it's just during those
Hmm.
first few days, that's one thing I noticed. The second thing is Seth doesn't have a really good cross up, right? It's a light kick
Yeah.
cross up. And you think you probably
Mhm.
want to use Seth kind of like Cammy, where you bully them with normals and then you make them second guess their anti airs by doing the instant air X kick. But like once again,
Hmm.
Seth doesn't have a really good cross up, and on top of that, all the buttons are like mostly minus. So I was kind of worried there as well. But like I said, with the added throw range and all that, Seth doesn't really need to play like that in general. And then
Yeah.
finally, the last weakness, which I thought is V Trigger 1. There was just so much scaling on V
Hmm.
Trigger 1 that I'm like, these combos are really nice, but if you land a hit, you pretty much don't want to go into any of the combos, especially with a 3-bar V trigger. But then a couple of days after that, when you realize how powerful a single hit after that V trigger is in the super, and the fact that Seth's super doesn't drain the V trigger bar, but also gets a bonus damage for the super for V trigger 1
Yeah.
is nuts. So V trigger
Hmm.
2 or V trigger 1, sorry, is really, really strong. Like a lot stronger than I thought it was initially.
Hmm. Yeah, for sure. Especially like it gives you some really nice conversions off of, for example, NTR DP.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Gives you really high damage. If you catch someone trying to jump out of the corner with standing heavy kick, I mean, they're just gonna die
Yeah.
on the spot right
Yeah.
there. And actually, well, going back a little bit to the cross up thing we were mentioning,
Mm-hmm.
one nice thing about it is that even though it's just a light, and usually you cannot get anything more than lights from it, set standing light kick goes into the spin kick, and it's +3 on block. So I mean, it's still a decent follow up to the cross up. So not everything's lost, I guess. Although going into mediums would have been amazing.
Right. Like I feel like the most of the strong V triggers are the ones that have like strong presence immediately, and Seth's V trigger one doesn't seem like that, but it does.
Hmm.
Like I said, a
Yeah.
single hit can be the round because it's so powerful. It's just the conversion itself is not that good. Like Akuma, for example, does not care about the scaling because he gets a hard knockdown from the uppercut, right?
Yeah.
Or a Monot gets a setup. It's not the actual hit that the players have to worry about, right?
Mhm.
So that's why a lot of V triggers are dependent on that in general, and there's a lot of scaling issues with a lot of V triggers, like Jury, for example.
Yeah.
V trigger 2, I wasn't too impressed with the V trigger 2 setups on day 1 and 2. I was like expecting some really crazy stuff, but some chip setups and some left and rights. But for the most part, I'm like, but I'm seeing some more V Trigger 2 stuff these days. I'm seeing Punko mess around with it a lot too. So
Yeah.
they both seem good.
The V Trigger 2 seems the kind of V Trigger that is quite useful against characters that bad V reversals or bad defense in general that don't have options out of block strings with gaps.
Hmm.
For example, like if they don't have a move that can go through fireballs,
Yeah.
they can eat like some honestly pretty impressive chip damage setups
Mhm.
because even though there is a gap, right, it's not a true block string. They cannot do anything about it, so it's like
Right.
it still works against them.
Right.
So I could see it being useful in some matchups, but V Trigger 1 seems the more generalistic approach where it's just good all around, but it's
Right.
3 bars. The other one's 2 bars.
Right. So let's talk about how we think Seth's going to be played in the future, like using his
Hmm.
strengths. I mean, the obvious is what we just talked about. The Tiger Knee Axe Kick in the air just seems so powerful right now.
Yeah.
Seth's just so well spaced afterwards if the opponent blocks it, but it's so fast. It's kind of like, I don't know, like an EX dive kick from Cammy, but without meter.
Especially online.
Especially online. That's what I want to see in tournaments. I want to see if people can react to it well in tournaments because
Yeah.
it does seem the different strength like totally change the timing
Mhm.
that Seth comes down too. So you can
Yeah.
really throw people off with it, and the
Yeah, I
reward
can
is so
say
huge
as
if you land a hit. You know.
yeah, I can say as a Gal player, the medium and heavy axe kicks are not a problem because flash kick, right?
Yeah.
But the light one is like right at the edge of not being reactable. You have to be so fast
Right.
to deal with it, and that it happens a lot that I stand up because I go up and kick, and then I just stand up and get hit.
Yeah.
So it can be especially if placed correctly.
Hmm.
When the opponent's not expecting it, it can be really good for pressure, especially because it goes over normals, even standing normals most of the
Hmm.
time. So Seth can really be a bully with it, especially if a character doesn't have a good NTR special or even a traditional DP. Right, it's a complicated input to react that fast. So yeah, I'm pretty sure that the Tiger Knee X kick, like you said, was going to be a threat.
Yeah, and then we have the throw. So the throw of Seth's only is -1 after a dash. After the forward throw,
Yeah.
I'm surprised Capcom let that ride. It's basically Akuma all over again. And when you mix that with the TK axe kicks, that's a big problem because Seth's throw range is actually quite good. So I see that being
Hmm.
just a huge part of Seth's gameplay. And
Hmm.
then I think a lot of people are going to switch over to V-Skill 2, actually. I know V-Skill 1 has got a lot of potential, a lot of fancy combos and things you can do on certain matchups.
Hmm.
But V-Skill 2 is so strong. The fact that you can combo off of it after a standing light kick is very impressive. The corner carry is insane, and the damage output, especially when you have the opponent close to the corner, is massive. For
Yeah, for
V-Skill
sure.
2. Really good, dude.
Yeah, V-Skill 1 seems more of a V-Skill that you use in some specific matchups because either the ability or the special move that you steal from the opponent is exceptionally good and it
Yeah.
really helps. Like, for example, Menat's Orb,
Hmm.
although you could argue for that matchup either way. Or for the Abigail and Zangief matchup because it did, just, negates armor completely.
Hmm.
And
Right.
for example, if you can react to, say, for example, Abigail's run or Zangief doing standing heavy punch, you can do it from a safe range where the attack wouldn't hit you, but you grab their extended hurt box with the V-Skill 1, and you
Hmm.
still manage to, reel them in and get the install. That is quite powerful. Like,
Right.
you just don't have to deal with the armor at all. So that's probably what V-Skill 1 is for. And like you said, V-Skill 2 is for everything else, which is most of the matchups.
Yeah. Yeah. It seems like that so far. So, I mean, and Seth's damage output is really high, by the way. Like,
Yeah,
really,
for sure.
really high. Really
I mean, the
strong.
shimmies are insane, to be honest. Like
Yeah.
280 damage shimmy.
And corner carry. And
Yeah,
Oki. Like, Seth's
I
got
know.
really good Oki. We got the 3-framer, the anti-air, the reversals. All that are really strong. So, Seth definitely deserves the health that he has that Capcom gave
Yeah.
him. So, I'm interested to see. Who do you think will pick up Seth? If anyone. Like,
I
pro player
mean,
wise.
you mentioned it before that Daigo was considering
Ah,
Seth, but he's kind of like went back. He kind
Guy
of
was
went
flip
back
flopping
to
constantly
Kage.
between character
Yeah,
names. He's probably
he
like
kind of
he
went.
keeps saying Kage, but he's just gonna end up playing Gal for the rest of the year, probably.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's
He's just gonna
what's
play
happening.
Gal.
I mean, Punko's playing Seth
He has
but
to.
I don't think he likes the character all that much. But it's probably because he
Completely
doesn't like
different
Street
character.
Fighter
I
Five.
mean,
Yeah, it's probably because he doesn't like Street Fighter Five all that much. So maybe it's just
right. I
the
mean, I think
system.
he's just gonna play Abigail, dude, because Abigail is so strong right now.
Yeah.
Sako is definitely gonna try Seth at least once in a tournament. He has
Yeah.
to. I
Yeah,
saw
for sure.
Infiltration trying Seth, but I think Infiltration's having a hard time learning the character. Like, I don't think
Mm,
the character suits his style. Like, I think he was having
okay.
problems trying to get a grasp of how the character's played. You know?
I think he'll. I think Infiltration might just play Seth for the waifu factor. It wouldn't put it past him to do that.
Well, he's got a lot of waifus, man. Minot and Jerry,
Oh
right? Like,
yes,
he's
for
got a
sure.
lot of backups just in case. So,
Yeah, yeah.
hmm. Yeah, I don't know. Like,
I don't know. I don't know if any of the American players are gonna play Seth
hmm.
or the European players. I mean, there hasn't been a lot of talk about people making the switch this side
No.
of the hemisphere. Like it's mostly the Asian players that've been more like
Right. That's
interested in the
true.
character.
That's true. I saw Punk like learning Seth, but probably just so he understands the matchup, right? But
Mhm.
that's true. On the American side, I don't really see anyone talking about using Seth. Not that I know of. Someone in the comments can let us know, but
Yeah.
yeah, I'm not sure. Like I said, it might be one of those situations, Mir, where like it's just not worth it to switch to a character, even though the character's strong, right?
Mhm.
When the game has
It could
been.
be it could be a reverse G situation where only the Americans at the time,
Oh
appreciated G,
yeah, yeah,
and now
yeah.
it's just Japan
I don't
for
think the
Seth. Who
Americans regard
knows?
Seth as a weak character though, but I can that would be funny though. I see what you're saying. But overall, I think Capcom did a good job on Seth. The complete rework, the moveset, even the character, like how he's changed. You know,
Mhm.
like
Yeah,
everything aesthetically is good. Seth's also really fun to play, and Seth's pretty tough, but not too tough. Like beginners can pick up Seth too and still have a lot of fun playing Seth. So I
yeah,
think overall, it's
for sure.
one of the better characters released in the game. I'd say,
Yeah, I'm
and
glad that
that's I could
the
never thought I would say something like that because Seth, I hate Seth.
yeah, I was just about to say, I'm glad that the game plans changed so much
I
because I
know.
honestly couldn't stand him in 354.
Yeah, if
I
you
am
told me Seth was
personally,
one of the last characters, I'd be, wow, that's a bummer. You know?
yeah, but now I don't want to. Well, I was just about to say it's a thinking man's character, but there's we're on the edge, I guess. But
Yeah,
it's definitely improved a lot from
right,
354 in that sense.
right.
Um,
True.
yeah, I can see more people just being attracted to the new design. Honestly, like old Seth felt way more generic,
Hmm.
especially because it was kind of like this copycat character. But now at least Seth has moves of characters that are not in the game, right?
Which is
Or
cool.
from
Was
other
a great
franchises.
idea.
Yeah, like the Mad Cradle being
Yeah,
Dimitri reference from Darkstalkers.
right.
That
That
is
was actually a really
interesting.
good
I,
idea.
pre- I prefer that
Yeah,
to the
it's true.
original design.
It's true. Well, guys, let us know in the comments below what you guys think of Seth's design and overall strength of the character. You guys think this character is as strong as the pro players think? And will we see Seth being picked up in tournaments in the future? Or is it just a little too late? Let us know. Mir, thanks for joining me, man. And we'll be back, guys, for more Street Fighter 5 content in the future. So take care, everyone. Peace out.